So during winter retreat, I found the same perceptions and storylines running through my head again and again. And what they seemed to have in common was dissatisfaction and complaining, picking faults with the external environment, no matter what was going on. And looking into this, I could see that it was driven partly by a lack of gratitude and appreciation for everything good that's here at the Abbey. And thankfully, I also recognized that this lack of gratitude was mostly because I wasn't paying attention to the good things around me. I had somehow developed this habit of only noticing the bad stuff, and I know a lot of people here have talked about that. But I was encouraged to see that because I was like, oh, this is a habit, and I can break that habit with just a little bit of effort. And we've been talking about joyous effort in the Thursday morning classes, and I've since come to the conclusion that laziness is actually maybe my biggest my biggest affliction. But I had the idea during retreat to make a list of all the things that I was grateful for at the Abbey in case I found myself getting into that rut, that line of thinking. And so in case this happens to cheer anyone up, I thought I would share with you today in no particular order. And when I was making this list, I was surprised that it became so long. And then I was also surprised that there were more things on that list than the complaining list, which I hadn't expected. Just because of the frequency. Yeah, so I was like, the frequency and the strength of the thoughts don't really mean they're true. I tend to associate the two, or all those three together. But yeah, I have many negative habits, and I want to cut just believing them flat out just because they're so strong or so familiar. So the first thing I was grateful about is that I live in a monastic community, and there are monastics out there who don't live with other Sangha members, and they seem to be in a more precarious situation in a few different ways. Financially, their source of income may not be stable. Legally, they could be in another country, and they have to keep renewing their visas. They don't know how long they can stay. Health-wise, if they live in a developing country where the health systems and the water is not so safe. And then ethically, like there are some centers or some neighborhoods where there's a lot of unethical conduct going on. But here at the Abbey, it seems very safe and protected in all of those ways. And then there's a lot of lay support for what we're doing. I don't feel isolated at all, or like I'm on some mountaintop, disconnected from the world. I know that what we're doing here makes a difference and has an impact on a lot of people. And this was to counteract the thought that it's too noisy here, and there's too many people coming and going all the time. So I was like, yeah, I would much rather know that I'm connected to people and feel that connection than live in a quiet, nice environment. There's a lot of dynamic, enthusiastic, hardworking people who live here. And I shouldn't complain because all the service we offer is what makes the Abbey so great. That was definitely my first impression when I came here. Wow, they serve all day long, nonstop. And you might guess the complaint I have about that. Wondering if we need a workaholics club at the Abbey. And where's the balance here? So yeah, I definitely really appreciate the service ethic. The abbess and the seniors have good vision, leadership, compassion, fortitude, and all the other qualities required of spiritual mentors. And this helps me to counteract thoughts about strong personalities. They're strong in very good ways. And then the natural environment obviously is very beautiful and peaceful. I'm in my own country, I speak the language and know the culture. That's not true for all monastics, and I've seen monastics here struggle a lot with that. Ethical conduct, again, is kept very well here. Even the buildings are very beautiful. There's a lot of aesthetic talent that we have in the monastic community. My family can see what I'm doing because they watch the YouTube channel and they go to the website, and many monasteries aren't that visible. And I know it's really helped them with this transition as I've moved away from them and here. They feel definitely still very connected to me and what I'm doing. I can't wallow in my own misery too long because the schedule is so full. And the more I stay here, the more I appreciate that. And I think I've talked about that with other people too. Yeah. The intellect is stimulated, very much so. So sometimes I think we do too much philosophy, we don't do enough walking meditation. But yeah, the intellect doesn't get bored, doesn't have a chance to, which is fantastic. I have full access to the Vinaya. And again, this is pretty rare still as the Dharma comes to the West. There's a lot of Dharma teachings, but not a whole lot of Vinaya materials or exposure. And in some traditions, the women don't have access to full ordination, but that's not the case here. So full access to the Vinaya is truly maybe the most remarkable thing, one of the most remarkable things about being here. I have many wonderful role models to look up to. They have many diverse talents. And if I ever really needed support, I know that I could get it. And sometimes I feel that nobody cares about me because they don't ask how I'm doing. But I know if I said I need to talk, they will say, okay, come with me. I'm part of an organization whose values and missions I believe in 100%. And yeah, I think that's, again, rare in this world to be able to do that. I know I hadn't before I came here. I no longer have that existential void that's like eating me alive. That's been there for many years. Knowing that my life is finally going in a good direction. There's no need to worry about the future, which again I loved to do in the past. The pets are very nice. And the turkeys provide wonderful Dharma lessons. There are so many opportunities to practice generosity, and this is the mind that says people are always asking favors. There are many nice people I get to meet who come here. Yeah. The environment is safe, and there's always something going on, so I can't get bored. The improvement ethic, training, nudging, encouraging people to grow, that's not working ourselves to death. It's actually just growing our capacity to serve others and to become a Buddha, which is what we all want. The food is nourishing and varied. And the skits, there's a lot of laughter and joy. And that counteracts the idea of, didn't these people hear about the singing precept? And then some other complaints that I thought of that I thought I would share. The shower takes too long to heat up. It's gotten better. People are not always in good moods, but this is true anywhere. I can't get in a car and go wherever I want if I'm in a really bad mood. I put down lack of ego stroking encounters. So that's hard sometimes. Too many temptations for sweets. But that's also good attachment practice. And then not enough time for naps most of the year. So again, it goes back to laziness. There's this practice that some venerables have taught me about, at the end of the day, you write down things that you're proud about doing or ways that you behave that you think were beneficial. And I think also extending that to the people around you, what are things that other people did that you really value and appreciate that can really brighten the mind and help you to tune into what is good around you. And so this is something I want to really keep at the forefront because that complaining mind is such a bad habit and so deeply ingrained. And once that's sort of settled down, I find there's a lot more energy to be kind to others, to be present, and then to keep progressing, hopefully, on the path to awakening.